to pilot some of the cross-cutting courses, which we got, the priority of which we got from you when we did a survey. A number of courses were submitted to us, were proposed to us as cross-cutting courses, which are priority. So we thought that we would then bring together the subject experts and then link them up with the experts in the e-learning development, e-learning pedagogy, for them to up their skills in developing and delivery of online courses. So we started this a program sometimes back last year, and we managed to put up the platform, and a number of courses were developed. And today, we thought we'd do two things. So the objective of today's meeting are two. One, to review the courses, the content that we already have online, and see if they are good enough to be advertised and to be offered to the students or to those who would like to take them online. But two, because we are joined by others who are participating in the IGRA project, it's also to refresh ourselves on some of the basic skills of developing, uploading, and delivering online courses. So I do not know which one to start with, but my interest is to see that the two objectives are attained. Now I will leave it with the experts that I have here to determine how we should go. My own proposal would be that maybe we first have a review of what we have so that we get to know what kind of gap we need to fill. In other words, how can we make good of what we already have on our platform? For example, we have a number of courses that have already been uploaded. So the question is, are they good enough to be advertised? Can we now enroll students and engage the experts in delivering those courses? So that's my question. Now, if that is not the case, then what can be done to enable these courses be ready to be delivered? So that's the question that I leave with the experts to answer. But then also the other part is that there are people who may not have attended this kind of training before. So we need to again refresh ourselves or skill them. What are the things that we need to do in order to prepare and upload courses that are of quality on the online platform? So I therefore take this opportunity to introduce the two colleagues. First of all, I'm happy to introduce Professor Jude Lubega, who is an expert in e-learning. He has been a lead trainer for us for some time, and he will be here to kickstart this program. Then next we have Joseph Revuze, who is a technical specialist in e-learning, e-content development. So he will be handling mostly the practical related aspects. So as I said, I will leave it with them to determine how we get started. But I think before we get officially started, maybe we can just have a quick introduction to know who is here. So we could start from those who are attending face-to-face, and then we shall go to those who are attending online. So I will then give the opportunity to David Amito to conduct the self-introduction by turning the camera to, so that we can go, orderly. So maybe we can get started from Deborah. So please introduce yourself, tell us where you're working and what kind of content you are developing, and whether or not you have put something online, and the kind of skill that you may want to receive from today's meeting. I think that would be good enough. So, Deborah.
I am an independent researcher, and I have wrote some content related to agricultural financing, agricultural marketing, agricultural innovation, and entrepreneurship. And then I have also written something related to agriculture and rural innovations. I'm very much interested in at least gaining some skills on the uploading of this content, and then inviting the students. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. So we'll go to the next. Helen.
I need to stand up. Okay. Good morning, colleagues. I am Helen Kongai Biruma, and I'm privileged to be part of this team. I participated in the previous training online and was able to develop some courses and upload online, although they still need some final touches. The courses that I developed the content on include econometrics, agricultural production economics, value chain analysis, and sustainable value chain development. I believe if I'm helped at least to do the technical review of some of the content to ensure that it is to the standard that we as the forum generally feel is appropriate, I would be ready to be part of those piloting the training aspect. In terms of the technical skills in online delivery of courses, I still have a challenge on groupings, especially. And I think I need help there. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ronald Sitio. I work with Ndege University. For purpose of this e-learning program, I developed content for precision agriculture and bioinformatics and the agriculture and food processing technologies. I loaded this online, and I'll be happy to continue to discuss to polish up this material and also continue to interact with the online interface to be able to play around with those assignments and grading things. I think I need some more skills on that, and I think I'll be able to take out this today. Thank you.
For the case of online content development, one of my modules is Introduction to Food Systems. The other, I remember at the time, my accounts. I'm interested in enhancing my courses with videos and outside content. I've uploaded, but they still need some fine tuning with external content, apart from the actual model. The external content could be links to the modules themselves. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Helen Amawi, Jamakere University. Among the courses that I developed, I had research certificates, which I developed with a certain payment body, but I don't remember the name. We uploaded that particular content. Then we had the one of scientific data management with me, Susan, and Thomas. We still uploaded the content. And what we are waiting for, we wanted to hear from the experts, the e-learning experts, on how the content that was put online, whether it was okay, and certainly we open the interface for the students to come and interact. And then the other thing, to be honest, I don't remember anything when it comes how I get on the e-learning system. Because it has been a while. Yes, we are given a refresher. I'll be able to. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Judy. I work with the Foreign Secretary as the Managing Secretary of Finance. Now I'm here to learn more about e-learning and also being that I'm in charge of the finances. It's important to also understand the technical aspects of this particular activity that we are having in line with SCORE and IFRS. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pleased to be here. And, good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Namba, Head of Department of Knowledge and Environmental Sciences at Dodoma University. Also, during part-time engaged in Uganda Christian University in the Department of Health and Biological Sciences. In terms of e-learning, I'm happy to be here again. I think we had a very engaging moment. Yeah, it's a while ago. After those 2 days, I think we will continue the debate. I am the module of proposal, writing and talking. And I was working with Professor J.S. And from our side, we completed the work and uploaded. So my expectation after will be that these are interactive tools. Whether they analytics, how many people to use it, those already are doing. So generally, I don't know the assessment that is not yet. So probably that would be my whether we have analytics that still people are able to tell who's using it, how many, what location, and so on. And the other thing that I'm probably interested in, I had some interaction. I had some interaction with the Secretariat, and sort of feedback. But it was interesting feedback. Well, the feedback from my side was actually like a marking scheme. Every point that was being raised, I would put a T. This one. Make sure you define. Make sure you introduce. So I tried to introduce the Secretariat, but I realized we were not going to go far. Because I gave an example based on statistics. You know, if you're doing a model of statistics, statistics has variables, so you can define the variable. If you're dealing with a model like proposal writing and involvement, you're not going to define the word consistent. They've been writing up consistently. So at some point, I simply just abandoned the discussion and said, no, we are not going to get far. And I didn't find it useful. So I said, well, that is life and that's how things go. So I am here. I hope that position can also be harmonized, especially with the fact that the courses we are uploading, they are different. They are generic courses that one would call remedial tools. But then there are courses. If I'm teaching mycology, I have to define what a zooscope is, what now. If I'm writing the proposal development and the research, then they are going to be different. They are not going to be generic. So that was my interaction, because as I said, when the Secretariat wrote and said, please do this, there were about 5 points. Each of them I would put a tick and I say, but I've done this, but I've done this. Now, in the end, we did not have consensus. So here I am. Use me. As Prophet Isaiah says, here I am, use me. Yes.
Yes, good morning, everybody. I'm called Thomas Sodo from Makerere University. I am part of the team working on scientific data management and analysis. We loaded some content online. So probably it would be great to see if there's any feedback. And also, well, pressure. You find this, there are so many things that you have to do these days. So you go log in one time, you forget the password, so every time you start all over again. So hopefully we'll see Professor Jude and the team refresh us a little bit, and also maybe we get a better way of getting this thing uploaded online. Because sometimes you spend a lot of time trying to develop the content. Right online, you may have a lot many things that too. And I think they are also expert. People have different expertise, so it would be good to have the content developed with good capacity, and then people with the right competence to get them on the system. Do that. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Webuze from Makerere University. I have come to share the knowledge I have about e-learning, and I hope we will and also learn more from each other. Thank you.
Is it an audit process? Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Drake Mwembe. I work in 2 places. I work in Makerere University, and I work at HTech Consults. And this session, I'm a double dealer because I work with Maria on informatics course, but also I'm part of the facilitating team that is supporting the colleagues to develop their courses. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I know that we can't go on like this because we are going to eat into our time so much. So I would request those online, please, can you kindly write your the institution you're coming from? And we are interested also for the facilitators to know our colleagues who are on the iCraft project. Please, could you also indicate that you are working on iCraft courses? So thank you very much. Can I give it back to Professor Lubega? But one thing to note is that these people who are here on the ground are people who have developed some course content online. So Jude will introduce to you the platform and the courses that these people have developed. And then for those of you, particularly those coming from iCraft project, you will also be given an account, how to create an account for you. And then you will also be able to create your online courses later on. So thank you very much.
Good morning, colleagues. I hope the people online can hear me. Can somebody say yes?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. I would want to once again welcome you to this training workshop on e-learning. I know I've interfaced with some colleagues before and some have not interfaced with, but the format we are going to take today is going to be focusing more on what we've already done, what we have in the system, how can we better it. There are some underpinning principles. You may not go further deeper into those principles because we have a very short time. But that's how we are going to take it. And but before we dive into that, I will just want to take you into the initial a bit of the first principles. Always, I usually bring this quote from Cashins, which says the critical success factor in successful e-learning is the skill of the teacher in creating environments that combine learner support, on and offline activities and resources, and ideas to stimulate what we call peer-to-peer communication. So whatever you do online, if you don't end up with that, then you are not doing it effectively the way it's supposed to be done. And therefore, you be able to move towards having that achieved with you. So there are some realities that we need to appreciate. One of them is that e-learning is not a new pedagogical construct. We've had the TVs, we've had the radios, we've had all sorts of things. So it's not new. But it has, sorry, somebody calling me and I'm using it for internet connection.
Can use the local connection.
It failed to come in. Yeah, failed. Okay. I hope you can still hear me. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yes, I've been cut off by internet. So what we need to note is that e-learning has simply adapted the teaching methods used in the traditional setting. So IT is just being utilized to improve what we have been doing in the traditional classes. So what we can simply say that this virtual learning is just a new delivery method that we are taking on. So whatever we put in there, let's reflect what we are doing previously. Has it been improved or it still remains the same, but now online? So that should be a question that we should be asking ourselves at all times. Also, the reality is that our online courses should be developed according to what we call course and learner needs. Virtually, we have people learning in different ways. And therefore, we need to be able to consider all the types of learners we have within our classes. And therefore, whatever we do in terms of developing content, it should be content that is supposed to be utilized by everybody who is virtually within your particular class. So we need to be mindful of that. Also, these particular courses should be developed in line with the teaching and delivery methods. There are so many different delivery methods out there. So when you are developing a course, you need to know, how am I going to deliver this? How am I going to teach this? And therefore, that will determine the delivery method you are going to deploy. So these are part of the pedagogy, which I'm saying we are not going to go into details because of time. But those ones who have interfaced with me before know that there are a variety of different delivery methods out there. Also, something else we need to be aware of is that your learners have not changed. But what is happening, you are just introducing them to a new learning method that probably they have not utilized before. Just imagine that you had these same learners in your first year, but then you introduce e-learning in your second year. So that means the learners are the same, but there is a teaching delivery method that is actually doing what? Changing. So the learners are the same. So you need to be mindful of that. And therefore, you need to be able to maintain the consistency of your course you teach at all times. These learners already know you, and therefore consistency to them is very, 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 very important. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of that reality. So all what you've already considered or developed should be considering that reality in place. So also something else we need to notice that studies out there have shown that e-learning projects fail at certain times, and because of, for example, what we are trying to do here can fail because of certain things if we don't follow them. Therefore, it is time for us to keep on now imagining what is that we need to put in place. It's just a matter of simply creating a PDF and dumping it onto the e-learning management system and you call that content and all that. No. So, but the actual e-learning starts at the analysis and design stages. But many times we overlook this. We don't move into analyzing and designing the actual courses. We feel that because somebody has developed already content, I can borrow that content and utilize it, forgetting that the learners may be different. Do you know them? What context are you teaching these learners? So analysis, you need to be able to analyze your learners. Who are they? What type of learners are they? Are they tactile? Are they visual? Are they auditory? Who are they? And how would they want to learn? And what have you considered in your design to cater for all these types of learners? So we need to be very mindful of that. Also, when we are developing, especially those of you who have already developed content and placed online, sometimes the learning rationale is not identified. What is your rationale of whatever you are creating that you are going to put online? You need to have that in mind. Many times, because you have already the learning management system, you are focusing on the learning management system, which is the tool. Because it can allow you to embed a PDF, you embed it. It can allow you to embed the video, you embed it. But for what purpose? So all that has to be in mind when you are doing all sorts of things. Yes, it's a tool. It will allow you to do all sorts of things. But is it helpful to the other person who's going to be accessing content? You may end up putting only videos in your content, forgetting that somebody who's going to be accessing these videos is in a low bandwidth constrained environment. So are they going to be useful to that learner? So what else have you added there so that this learner also continue learning? You see, all these have to be put weight when you're developing all these sorts of content. Also, we develop this content and then dump it on our learning management systems or virtual learning environments and the like. And then we forget the learners. We don't introduce them to the actual tool that they are going to use. But we assume that they will find their way. And then we fail at that particular point in time. They can't use the tools, they don't know where to go, they can't access it. So it becomes a bit of a mess. So also we need to be mindful of this. So as we consider developing online courses which are effective, we need to think about analysis of the learning needs of the learners. We've talked about this. What are those learning needs? And these include what is the level of competence of these learners you are preparing all this content for? Are they lifelong learners? They're already master's holders and they just want to come in your course and learn? Are they bachelor's students in first year who are just starting? Are they PhD holders? Who are they? What is their level of competence? It's important. You are developing research methods. For what level? Is it at the master's level? Is it at the PhD level? Because you may develop content for a master's level and you start with so basic things which are just going to bore already this master's holder who already has background in such method. So where do you start from? So the level of competence is very, very important. The type of learners, as I've already said, there are some who want to learn by listening auditory. There are some who want to learn by seeing visual. And there are some who want to learn by reading the text, which are the tactile learners. But then there are some who blend all these. So what do you do to be able to take care of all these aspects? Also, something else you need to be mindful of that, or you should have been mindful when you are developing the content you already put onto the learning management system, is the clear end in mind. What is the outcomes of this course? What is expected? What are you expecting these learners to have achieved out of this? So that when I design and I use animations, when I design and use all these visuals, what do I intend these people to achieve? So start reflecting now on the content you developed. As I said, we are going to really go into the actual content and see exactly where are mistakes being done. Somebody gets into the learning management system. Week one, he dumps there a PDF file without an introduction, without anything, no background to the course they are teaching, nothing. The student is there with a PDF in front of them. So what is this? Now, you see, these are some of the mistakes. Go back to your content, start looking at it. If you did that, just start marking yourself. Because every course has a background introductory. The learning objectives and things of that kind. Where are they? Where have they been left? For the student to assume about them all they are supposed to be. So we need to be mindful of that. There are certain principles that also we saw. I'm trying now to blend those of you that have gone through in the past this content and those new people to the content, but are moving fast until I move on to the core part I would want to discuss today. So as we analyze our content, there are certain things we need to be able to do. We need to be able to identify important techniques and methods already in use. What are you already using as you've been teaching this content? You've been involved in getting the students in the discussion forums. You've been getting students in the debates. You've been getting students in presentations. Already these are techniques and methods you've been deploying. The question is, when we move online, can we be able to do the same in the virtual space? So you're already analyzing yourself. I've been doing this. Can I move the same virtually? And therefore, what tools are available for me to be able to do that? Remember, your students are remaining the same. They have not changed. So when you take them virtually to continue with the discussions, it will be simply a different environment, but the concept of discussion is already a known concept to them. So it becomes easy for them to grasp and move on. So some of these the levels of learning we are talking about, the learning approaches and the delivery methods, they are so detailed. Remember, they fall under the transmission, transaction, and all that. These are pedagogical principles that need a bit of a lengthy time for us to go through. But you need to know which approach are you going to take. The approach you are going to take will determine the delivery method you will deploy. You see, you remember where we started? It starts with the actual level of learning. If it's a bachelor's, if it's a master's, if it's a PhD, are we going to use transmission? Are we going to use transaction? What are we going to use? All this will determine the approach. And then finally, the delivery method you are going to deploy. I know, and I believe those of you who have not interfaced with this before, you are wondering what is all this, but it can take us almost half of a day going through all those pedagogical principles. Okay. So what is the purpose of doing this? So the purpose of doing this is to create what we call a framework. This framework formulates the approaches for developing effective online courses. Because you already know the approaches available, and you already know the delivery methods linked to that approach, and you already know the level. So it will be clear and easy for you to select that this is what I'm going to use in my entire course development. Because I'm targeting undergraduates. And therefore, the approach I'm going to take is ABCD. The delivery methods will be this. So all through you become consistent up to the end. Remember, sometimes you may have to blend some of these approaches, depending on what you want the students to attain at the end of the day. So it's not necessarily that you have to have these the same at all time. I don't know how it's going, but okay. So, also recapping, most of these we are just recapping. Finding the levels of learning, there are certain questions you ask yourself. Do students attend for the same reason? Now here you are thinking about the competence. The person who is the first time to come into that class will completely come to the class for different reasons as compared to one who has interfaced with the content before. Okay? Are they arriving with the same preconception? What do they already have? Do they have similar levels of ability? And can they learn in the same way? Ability and in the same way. Now that is the type of learner. That's what comes in. Francis, I don't know what happened, but just not immediately to duplicate your view. Lines of. Okay. Okay, now, how do we make sure that we are coping with the levels of learning for the people we are preparing all these resources for? Okay. We are aware already that learners learn in different ways and different levels.
Yes, your thing needed to be duplicated. You needed to be duplicated.
Okay. Also, we should be aware of that as we prepare all this content, that our learners tend to change over time. So if you've developed all this content without having that in mind, that your learners are going to change over time, remember you introduce them in the first week, second week, and the third week. In the fourth week, there will be very different learners because even some of them have read ahead of you. So the content you develop has to be in such a way that it considers all that in mind. Don't consider that your learners are the same from the time you started with them. They keep on changing. Okay, there are some learners who we call adult returnees, lifelong learning. So are we considering them? So when we talked about the learning approaches, now recapping again very fast, we don't go into the learning approaches, they are under 3. You're already aware, those of you that have gone through this. There is what we call surface learning, the approach. There is what we call strategic learning approach. And there is what we call deep learning approach. So all these are meant for different levels of learning. Undergraduates, starting with them at a deep level, deep learning approach can cause havoc. This is where you expect PhD, master. But then starting a PhD at surface learning also can cause havoc. You may remain with nobody in the class. So what levels are you after planning for? They may be a combining, and therefore you need to consider combining all the approaches together. That the first week I use this approach. In the second week, I use again surface. When we move into the third week, I move into strategic. Fourth week, strategic. Then fifth week, we move into deep learning approach. So in that way, you're trying to consider all these types of levels of competence and learners that you have. Okay? So we need to be mindful of that. It is important for all our content we develop. So you're going to have to review whatever you're creating. Did I consider these approaches? Or it was a one fit for all surface. But the target is PhD holders, master's holders. Are they really going to be okay with the content you develop? So we need to be very, very careful with that. Okay. Here, the delivery methods is my focus here. You remember, as we say, the approaches lead you to the delivery methods. There are again 3 main delivery methods that we need to think about when we are developing content online. There's what we call the transmission. Are we transmitting? Are we simply from us to the learner? The content you will develop will be in that way. You are transmitting from you to them. There is what we call transaction. It's a transaction between the learner and the actual teacher. So the content and the activities you embed in there should be those ones that are allowing a transaction to take place. Not only you doing and then the other people are watching, and then you call that a transaction. So ask yourself, look at the content you have. Did you intend a transmission? Did you intend a transaction? Or did you intend what we call a transformation? Deep learning moves close with transformation. Strategic learning moves more with transaction. Then surface learning moves more with transmission. So you see, the learning approach will determine the delivery method. As I said, our learners keep on changing. After the first 2 weeks, did you assume the learners are the same and you continue with your transmission? Or you changed the gear and took it now into transaction? And if you evaluate the activities you put there and the content, is it really giving me the transaction? I know I'm already speaking to the converted here because you've already developed content which is online. So ask yourself those questions and start evaluating yourself. As a forum, people working on this content, we need to probably decide whoever is developing content for undergraduate level. This is what we need to go for so that it's a uniform across. When we move into the fourth week, do we change gear and move into transaction? At what stage can we move into what we call transformation? If we are delivering for undergraduates, if it's postgraduates, what do we do? So if Forum gave such a framework to the people who are developing content, probably it will give us a consistency we may be looking out for in this particular content that is developed. Because it's the same learning management system, but if you find different people doing all sorts of things in there, then you lose the consistency. So we need to be able to agree on to that going forward, so that even it becomes easy for evaluation. Okay? But remember, when you're going to do the blend, it depends upon who is delivering the course. When do you bring out transaction, transmission, and transformation? That is very, very, very key for you. Okay. I remember I gave an example some time back that as you plan your course that you're embedding online there are certain things that you need to have in mind, principles. When you start your course and when you expect it to end, the course cannot run forever. So when does it start? When does it end? That is a principle. What is the teaching load? What is that load you're looking out for? Okay? What is your class estimate? I remember Prof there had a class which had 1,000, more than 1,000 people attending the course. Now, do you know the size of your, now, if you know the size of your class, it will even now give you the thinking that this is how I'm going to be able to evaluate these students in terms of assessment. If you give them something that is really going to take you a full month to evaluate or assess, you are in trouble because 1,000 is a very, very big number. But how do you get them assessed? Now, when you sit down and plan all this, when the time of action starts on the LMS, you'll be just doing because the framework you've already laid it out. But once you go online virtually and you start preparing without you knowing exactly what you're going to do, that's why you will end up putting an assessment which you will not be able to uphold. Because it's too much for you. You put in activities of discussion and you expect 1,000 students to be discussing in the same space. Becomes impossible. That's where groups come in. Somebody was talking about groups there. That's when you split the entire class into either 50, 50, 50, 50, and give them different things to discuss. They will be in their private rooms discussing, but everything being done virtually. So all this comes into planning and making sure you are actually upholding what your framework says. You need to plan out your entire week. Just think about if you have been offering the course and there are some students that have been actually taking the course. When were you last there? When did you last participate in the discussion forum you put there? So plan out your week for it to be effective and the students to benefit. Let's take an example. You may decide that on Mondays, that's when you have, for example, a real-time interaction with them, and you are using a Zoom to reach out to your students for 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, that's a Monday for you. And then after the class, you tell them you'll take on the discussions in the forum. Then that's when you create the discussion forums again also, and then still the Monday. And if you have any communication to make using an email, also you do it on a Monday. It's start of the week. But then what do you do on Tuesday? You need to go there and start the facilitation and students on the right track. It doesn't mean that you're going to be in the discussion all the time. You know, we are talking about effective. There is doing these things and simply dumping them there and say, for me, I did my part, and you sit aside. Is it going to be effective? No. Putting a discussion forum there and you never appear there for the whole week, and you come back and you close it, it's useless. If you go back and review what students were discussing, some of them you'll find they were discussing about Arsenal and Liverpool and then Manchester and then
Which is also important.
it is not important for that particular course unit. It's for the subject matter. It cannot be important. You see? So this is the importance that we need to be there. If they are going off track, you try to get them back on track. But you plan yourself. Otherwise, if you don't plan yourself, you end up every day in the discussion forum. Every after 2-3 hours in the discussion forum. When are you going to do your own other things? So plan your entire week up to Friday, when you probably may say that, okay, I close this discussion forum and then plan to open up another on Monday. Or you can even open it for 1, 2, 3 weeks, depending on what you are teaching. Okay, but all goes into the planning. This framework we are talking about will guide you on all what you do all throughout once you are developing your course online. If you don't have that framework, then you will be simply doing whatever you want. The consistency will miss out. And the students will be able to see consistency is lacking. Don't forget, as I hinted, Prof there had more than 1,000 students. You could see them online. They were there, they were registered into the particular course. But now, remember, you may have an online course and you don't have students there. So you developed something for nothing. Your time was wasted. Probably 5, 6 joined and you lost them along the way. Their reasons why. Or you may have 100 students, but only 20 are active. And then can you say, I have 100 students with me when 20 are only active all through up to the 4th, 5th week? Okay. Okay. For any online activity that you are going to put there, whether it's a discussion forum, whether it's a chat session, whether it's a real-time virtual class, one, it has to be meaningful and purposeful. Why are you putting it there? For what purpose? It has to have clear instructions. Some of you go and evaluate the discussion forums you put in your space without even any instruction on them. So what do you want the students to do? What are the rules governing this discussion? If it's a discussion that is going to be assessed, are the students aware? Or you are going to simply wake up one day and say, I'm also assessing the discussion forums. Students need to know. If it's an online assessment, the questions you ask have to be very clear. They need to be clear questions. If it's unclear, the entire class will not be. Everybody will simply answer in their own way, and the problem will be you. So make sure you have all this clear. Because we are considering online learners out there, taking on the facilitation role is very, very critical. You may lose that class. You may have bullies in there. You may have, you've seen online sessions where people, one person is the most talkative and all that, and you know, that person may take over the class. So what happens to the rest? So you need to be able to facilitate what you have there. Avoid closed questions in the virtual space. Always the closed questions will mean that you've closed yourself. You are not allowing space for questions and all that. So don't close them. Open-ended questions are the best. Get people to really come out and discuss. You'll get surprised whatever comes out of that discussion, or even the assessment, whatever they are able to submit. Encourage a lot of deeper levels of thinking at all times. For those of you that have taken online sessions before, you see how they allow the MOOCs out there. They give opportunities for really what we call deep levels of interaction. Okay? Okay. I would want to move on to something. Now, these are very critical aspects that you need to be focusing on. If you are going to check for the quality of your e-learning, there are certain things you are going to look at. One, the learner-centered content. You may develop content and it's yours, you the teacher. How about the learner who's supposed to utilize it? So the learner-centeredness, and therefore all the activities and all that should be learner-centered. We have gone away from what we call the teacher-centeredness. The teacher is the only, I would say, the God who provides knowledge and all that. No, let the content you are availing to these people have the element of the learner. That at a particular point in time, you are not going to avail content, but you are going to request these learners to be able to go and construct their own knowledge out there and look for content so that they can understand better the concepts you have taught them. Learner-centered. So be mindful of that. It should be a core. The granularity. That is why previously I've taught you what we call the learning object concept. That you split your content in a granular way that you have the topic, you have the subtopics, you have the assess. It is in a form of a book, you would say book. When you have all this chunk of content in one space and everything is in one document, a PDF that has topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, up to topic 20, one PDF. It is as good as reading a book, physical book. So where do you bring in the activities? So you need to split this and make it running. The content has to be engaging. So that means the instruction you put in there has to allow this engagement to happen. Content which is there just for people to read and does not allow them to engage is not good content. You can provide a paragraph. After the paragraph, you have certain questions that are coming in, or you are telling the person to think about something, or you are, depending on what you want to read, it is engaging the other person who is reading and learning. Otherwise, you'll have a problem. They will be reading a book, and once they are bored, they start dozing off. So, and you should use all these creatively. And even being able to motivate this learner to continue learning. Asking themselves, oh, what activity am I going to find next? What is it? What are they going to ask me next? You know, they're expectant of something that is engaging them. So they are not bored. So your content online should be able to deliver on that. Interactivity. Allow interactivity to happen in the content. Okay. Yeah, as what I've been saying here, I've just been emphasizing it, but interactivity there. The more you allow interactivity to happen, the better within this content. Okay, I've already finished learner-centered content. Then personalization. Allow the self-help concept. Okay. You know, I remember I once I've told you about iPush and iPull. Sometimes you lose personalization here, depending on what you have decided to go for. If you are simply pushing for them, that means those ones who already have knowledge cannot learn ahead of you. So it's not personalized to them. It is a one fit for all. So they have to follow you, and then you lose many of them along the way. But if you allow them to move faster and go there, probably you can have them and they keep on coming to support you here as you teach. So those are very good qualities for one. So when you are venturing into the actual development, there are certain steps you take. There's what we call job and task inventory. For whatever you developed, did you ask yourself, what is the overall goal of the learning initiative I'm actually going to put out? What is it? Okay? And this is why I'm saying that this should relate or be aligned with the organizational goals of the target audience. The rest of you developing content for the forum. So who is the target audience? The target audience is the forum member universities. That is the target audience. So develop content knowing that the target you have is that. So that means even consistency has to be part of it. So that they see something which is uniform a bit. Okay? So, after knowing your target audience, what are the target major responsibilities in relation to the goal? You want to deliver. And they want to learn from you. So you are the teacher, they are the learner. So what are the responsibilities for either parties? You need to know that. What are the tasks that should be performed by the target audience for the overall goal to be accomplished? Forum member universities, what are they supposed to do so that the goal the forum has is achieved? So, what are they supposed to do? And you, the person who wants them to achieve, you need to have set in within the content activities and all sorts of things that allow this to happen. Otherwise, they will not achieve the goal you set out to. You want them to become lifelong learners in the area, in that particular discipline. At the end of the course, have they become one? Did you put all what is required for them to become? Did you engage them the way they are supposed to be engaged? Yourself, were you there for them? So we need to be mindful of that. Step 2, as you do that, you need to prioritize tasks in your content. You need to look at all the courses. What are those tasks? There are so many tasks you're going to have in all your courses, but which ones are critical? You may find one is actually at the course level. You may find another one is at the topic level. You may find one which combines both topic 1 and topic 2 and topic 3. You need to prioritize these tasks and make sure they deliver to you the course. Which are most important? Am I going to have an assessment midway? Am I going to have a chat? I don't know. And then apply them the way they're supposed to be applied. Step 3. You need to break down the tasks. You need to be able to describe each task and list the type of judgment, decisions, or steps that are requested for each of the tasks. Remember, you're not going to be with this person. And therefore, you have to be very clear in what you want them to do. Otherwise, they'll be looking for somebody to ask. You are nowhere to be seen. So the more clear you are, the better there, so that you avoid all these questions. Or else you go in your email and you see all the chain of these people asking questions. That means you are not clear with your instructions and all that. Okay? Step 4, you need to identify the required knowledge. So if you have this particular topic, what is the required knowledge? Course content that I need to embed in here that is going to help me get these people acquire that knowledge. You know, once you prepare all this properly, before you get into a learning management system, it will be now taking it from where you put it into the learning management system. Taking it, and it will be very easy. But if you think from the learning management system, and you think everything is going to be okay, I'm telling you, the time you'll waste will be so much. Planning for an effective online class is very, very, very important. You need to think about it. There are so many types of content. I'm just coming to a point where I'm going to dive into the learning management system to show you an example. There are so many types of content. There's content which relates to facts. You're trying to present facts, procedures, concepts, principles, interpersonal skills, attitudes. All this is type of content. The question, how do you present that type of content to the learner? Let's take an example. There is Molson, they have a very good model that reflects all that. But let's take an example here. If you are talking about facts, how do you present the facts in your content so that they are understood by the learner? You need to be able to provide what we call clear statement of the fact using visuals. You can use visuals, you can use infographics. These would present the actual fact. If you are talking about, I would say, harming somebody, and you bring an infographics showing somebody harming, the fact, somebody is able to understand it very well. If you are talking about procedures, you are talking about something that has procedures. You come from this to this to this to this. How do you present that content so that it's understood by somebody who is trying to learn about it? So you need to make clear the various steps of the procedures. That I have step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and this is what is involved in each one of them. You can use a diagram. It brings it out so well that it's the first step, and here something pops up, the step 1, and then another one, and then so depending on what you want, okay, you can use maps and so on and so forth. If you are presenting content that is about bringing out concepts, what do you do? Okay, so you can use also visuals to support the understanding of the complex concept. You know, there's an example that is usually given. A teacher of science comes into class to teach science and starts talking about gravitation. And his kids in class are saying, now, what is this one talking about? That when you throw a stone, it will come back down and the principles apply and all that, but take this into a virtual. The same, and it's still but it's just talking about it. But if you are to take an animation, if you have to take an animation and you clearly show this, what happens? So, if you use visuals to present concepts and all that, they help you to deliver the message. Okay? If they are principles, what do you use? You see, I'm bringing in a lot of visuals because visuals bring out the message so well. It is not all about text. Visuals try to explain this in an even a much better way. So let's utilize them as much as possible. Even if we are talking about interpersonal skills, use a lot of visuals. If it's attitudes, you want to present, also use a lot of this. Now, this is the last slides for this session before we move into. You need to take time. Now look at the course you developed, and it's time for you to evaluate. There's certain checklists that is utilized for checking whether you have a quality e-learning. When it comes to course navigation, you have the learning manuals, you place all the content in here and all that. How can you tell that you have something really good? Okay? Is the course structure well organized and easy to understand? You remember the granularity check? The course contains a tutorial. Does it have one? Or a help section? Where do people run to if they want to find out on something? Can learners easily navigate the course? Good enough that the LMSs of today give you that you can set up your course per week, which becomes easy for them to follow. Are learners free to access any section of the content in the course? Did you put in the iPush or iPull? a learner is forced to click on every object to advance in the course, that can be very annoying. That before you can proceed, something has to happen. And the learner is saying, everything you have, before you proceed, you have to do an assessment. That's where people will end and say, okay, you can remain with your content. Just know where you actually need to deploy such, and so on and so forth. So you'll be able to receive this so that you can be able to evaluate yourself. When it comes to navigation, what is that am I saying? When it comes to text, graphics, and audio and video, whatever you place in your content on the LMS, what is that you are putting in there that is effective? You know, you can put an image and it's a mess. You can put a video and nobody can download it because it's too heavy. You've wasted your time. So think through all that. What type of videos are you putting? Are you putting an MP3, MP4, or you're putting some extraordinary type of file that people cannot even download? So think through. So this is a checklist that also you can try to go through and say, okay, I think my content is, oh, it fits this, doesn't fit this stuff. As a good way of trying to evaluate what you're putting in there. The content itself. Does the content, the course address the target audience in the learning needs? Does the content flow in a logical form? Chapter 1, and then move to chapter 2, and then 3, and then 4. Not from chapter 1 to chapter 8. And the students are wondering what is happening here. Okay? So there are several of them that actually you will use. For the sake of time, I'm just running through this. When it gets to assessment, what also do you consider? Remember, you want to know whether these people really were attaining the objectives you set out to attain. So you need to be able to evaluate some of these. Okay, the social interactivity. How do you make sure that whatever you put in there to allow social interactivity, engagement, collaboration is good enough? Okay, there's so many communication tools in there. There's a chat room, there's a discussion forum, there's a webinar, there's a wiki, there's a. The question is, why are you utilizing that? They should be, remember, they are synchronous and asynchronous. You intended to have a real-time engagement with the students, but then you use a discussion forum. And you ask yourself, where are the students? Where are the students? You can't find them. One comes out, types something, they run away. And for you are there for the 2 hours. What's it? Can you use a chat session, which is synchronous, real time, and to require everybody to be there at that particular point in time? So know exactly what you intend to utilize. Something interesting there, that as you often think about these synchronous and synchronous, we see this very level. There are some which can provide both synchronous and asynchronous. For example, the whiteboards, the survey, social networking tools can provide both synchronous and asynchronous. But remember, what do you want? Don't assume an email will be synchronous, that somebody is waiting for you to respond. No. That's not how it was developed. So think through what are you putting in there. Okay? For the sake of time, I'm just running out. And then some additional resources. What additional resources are you putting there for the students? Any links to good resources, YouTube videos, what? Think through what is that you are putting there. You may put for them something But then the following date is nowhere to be seen. So is it useful to them? Have you tested it? So you need to be mindful of all that as we move along. Now, I just want to take you. Oh, I have to stop sharing and then a screen. Okay, now we are out having gone through all this. We are just going to review one of the course units that was actually done by somebody. I don't know the owner of this, agricultural production economics. Anybody? Good. Now you are here. Let's go through. Now, what we've just been talking about, we start evaluating a bit. This is a course on agriculture. What is it? Agricultural economics. Before a student can dive into this course, they should be able to know exactly what this course is on. The purpose, you see, but now one of the things here, the purpose of the expected learning outcome, it may be hidden. It should be something that it pops up around here. And when the person comes into the course, this is what they first read completely, so that they get to know. Don't make it too long. Let them know that these are the objectives for the course and ABCD. This is how you expect them to assess and etc. Before they do anything, yes, usually you don't need to first bombard them with files to download and all that. Let them first get the picture. That is why we even inform them about what you're going to do. You'll have 2 assessments. One of them will be offered in the 6th week, another will be offered in whatever. All this is information they need to know. So that by the time you dive into the topic 1, which is right there with you. You see, one of the mistakes we make is being able to assume that this student knows what I'm going to discuss right from the go. We present to them a file, and we assume the students know what is within the file. Always provide an introduction to the topic. Provide an introduction to that particular topic. So that even if possible, there is a good image that talks about production economics. You can even put it there with a small background, and then you attach the PDF. The person will explicitly know, oh, this is what I'm going to learn about. And they start picking interests that, okay, this is what I need to learn about. But when you simply come and dump the file there, they are showing what is in here. What is here? You're not giving them a room to really contextualize what is hidden in there. There are so many files here, videos. I'm sure they are about something. But can't you tell the story to them a bit in summary before they get in there to see the actual video? It's being effective. Let them see. Some of them may not want this content, but they want this content. They already know about this, but they don't know about this. They can skip this because of the intro you've given them alone. So it helps the smooth flow in there. Okay? Now, something else. You see, because you are starting the class, the first time you are interfacing with these people, there is need of trying to find out their competence. Can you start before even you start the topic 1? Can you engage them in a discussion here at the beginning about what you are going to teach? Encourage. That is what?
No, it's mine.
Now, I'm here. Okay, now, you see, you need to be able to get to understand the competence of this class. At the beginning, before even you come into topic 1, can you include a discussion forum where you encourage each and every student to come in and participate and ask them what is their expectation out of this course they are going to learn? I'm telling you, you will have very useful information that will help you even plan better going forward. If you don't do it at that particular point, after week 1, 2, 3, that's when you know that you had 20 people and you are left with only 5. Some dropped off and reasons. Okay, it's good to have all these resources on one topic. All these, the videos and PDF and all that. The question will be, where is the interactivity and engagement of this student? You are only using the transmission. The content that came from you is what you are sending out there to the actual students.
Those lessons,
Oh, this,
the lessons are not standing.
oh, okay, I hadn't seen, I thought they are all videos. There are some lessons. Yeah, there are some lessons there. But also, yes, these are lessons. Probably you carried them, new lessons are in which format?
The lessons.
Let's click and see.
Eh?
We can click and see.
Okay. Let's see the lesson. Intended learner, okay. So we are trying to see what is within this lesson. It's a type of content that has been developed, I think, based on the SCORM. Not so? Huh? Is it not SCORM? What is it?
That's from, yeah.
That is now.
Okay. Okay. Now, these are activities for them to do. Okay. Now, if these are activities for them to do, probably there is a better way of presenting them. They are so hidden away from these students. You know, you need to get them to go through next. Okay.
Sections in the book, when they write, that's what we have understood in that section. And then they bring back.
How do they bring back?
Is where I indicated, write this specified amount of text and post it. Or this meeting, which is created by the forum.
Okay, now, is there a place where they are posting? That is what that's the interactivity I'm looking for, but where is it?
I think there is a link. Have I created? I'm not sure. Maybe I've not yet.
That's the interactivity I'm looking for, because I've come up to the end and there seems not to be the interactivity. Because that interactivity is now what connects you between the teacher and the student. That you've given out an activity and you expect them to bring back something.
Excuse me. So I think at this point there is a learning curve for us. That because what is going through what the student sees. So the issue is, if you have developed your content and a student logs in there, is there adequate information for the student to do the right thing? You get, because now remember, you are not there now. It is only the student, in this case, he is the student, and he's only getting information from what he sees. So how do you read the student as if you are there? So this is not only a lesson for her, but for all of us.
I think the challenge is that maybe you have a need.
Or there's a reason, maybe we can allow somebody to.
Okay, somebody was raised, can you? Yes, can you go ahead, please? Malcolm?
Thank you very much for the presentation. It is well received. Greetings from Liberia, University of Liberia. Now, my question here is, what is the threshold for resource overflow? Because we don't want to give the students too much that they are too overwhelmed.
Because in such an activity, you are supposed to put in where you now engage. After doing all this, you may create a forum and tell them that go to discussion forum ABCD, and each one of you post what you should have. After reading and going through here, now they say, oh, they're supposed to go to. And when they go there, they find already that discussion, what? Forget it. Now,
so the question is that now, where are they going to really put what they have done? So this is where now you go back to your actual content. Let me go back. Is it called LCD?
Okay, not able to hear now. There's a complaint. Somebody was not hearing. If anybody online can just speak up to tell us. Fiona or anybody online, please, can you let us know whether you're hearing us now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Yes, we are hearing.
You. Okay.
Okay, great. Now, because under this particular activity, either definition of concepts and all that, the students don't have where to go and engage with you. This is where you can come and simply say, under the same, I'm just going to put something here. I'll turn editing on. And then I'll simply go under the same topic. I'll put a discussion forum.
Forum.
Forum. Or you can even decide that on such and such a day, we shall have a chat session where each one of you will come and talk about what they've been able to do. Chat session would mean it's real time. You see? But a discussion forum, somebody can come and post and go away. Post and go away. Different people come in at different times. So here, so what we are going to do is we call it topic 1, discussion forum. As I say, clear instructions. In here, you're supposed to have very clear instructions based on what they were doing in the other activity. You can come and simply say that under this forum, students are supposed to present their, what were they picking?
Their write-ups.
Their write-ups on it was lesson on
Topic 1.
definitions of concepts. Okay. Each instructions, each student is supposed to provide their own what? But they want to find out about what? Their own ideas, okay. Ideas about the concepts. And then you can indicate that this forum will be assessed for all students. Meaning that whenever they see this, everybody will be forced to participate because they've seen it is actually assessed. So clear instructions. Make sure that this is visible and therefore you click this display. The question is, for how long do you want this forum to happen? Is it for a week? Is it for 2 weeks? Is it for the whole term or semester? So you need to be able to check, but you know how to do this. So I'm just going to go at the end and save and return to course.
For others.
All of them. I think all of you. So my intention was to come and show you that now this topic has been put there, but it is supposed to come immediately after lesson 1. So I drag it and drop it where it's supposed to be, so that when the students come to interface with this, I'm going to take off what?
Student view.
What is it? Turn editing off. So you see now how it appears under the what? So they know that after this, they will find a discussion forum, which has clear details there for them. So they will come in now and put in their one. So there is that interactivity happening. It's not all about you giving them, transmitting, but then there is a transaction. They are giving you back information via the what? The discussion forum. So this presents you that you have more than a variety of activities they are engaged in. Okay? So, and then also, let's move on to topic 2.
You see topic 2, you have the PDFs there, you have a video there, and that's all. So what it means that you are doing so much of what we call the translations. There are less activities that allow transaction to happen. That's a real-time engagement. If in the first week, you simply had them, wherever online they are doing their own things. In the second week, can you simply say, we are going to study it using a chat session? So you come and place the chat session here, where you'll come and introduce the topics and everything you want under the chat session for 45 minutes only. That means the rest of the PDFs are going to be extra content resources that these students are going to read and understand even much better what they are learning. You see? So there is a real now time interactivity, which is the chat session, so that you don't leave them to be bored so much without doing anything. There is quite a lot of activities, tools there online for us. But something coming out, you need to be able to provide a fact. What does that PDF tell you about? If it's a paper, you can tell here, Jude is actually talking about ABC, so that when they go to read that, they already have a bit of an idea what you are going to be looking out for. But when it comes simply and sits in there, they can avoid it, but they've missed something so good in there. But when you have that intro there, it sort of encourages them to do what? To continue going in there and reading the what? The file. I know Francis wants me to stop people to go for a break. the way it looks. Yes, yes.
Of this question, right? Because there is of course a provision, but I thought we could omit some overview what you just. So each one must have.
Tell them what it's about. I mean, because when you are adding here, that is why they could give for you space to tell what is in here. Because somebody may skip it, but probably it has the concept they are looking out for. Don't write in their paper for them or whatever is in there. Just try to get them to reflect that this is what is in here, than simply dumping it there. Okay? So it is one way, the video there. It is now a video production planning zones. And then here, either ABCD talks about blah, 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 and then it is there clearly laid there. So it's just a brief to encourage them to get in and.
That sounds interesting, but now it implies that the magnitude of work.
remember when I said effective? This is why I say when I came to a discussion forum, I had this space. I didn't leave it blank. Because remember when we said it has to be clear and concise instruction. This person is not with you there. They are virtually somewhere. They need help. That's why many fall out. Because of these small things. But when you have, it doesn't take you 2-3 minutes to. When you plan it very well, even you can write it in a Microsoft document. So when you get online, you are simply copying and pasting, and things flow. Planning is very, very, very important. Check 1 to 3 days plan. Use 1 day to input everything. It will be so simple.
Thank you. I'm also happy that Dr. Joan Sadam did it here.
I know what you mean. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, our colleagues and those who are online. Yeah, we are happy that we've just got introduced. Yes, there's somebody who has a question. I think
Let me see anyone now with a question. We are going to give opportunity to about 2 or 3 people to ask questions. But what I wanted to say is that from now we are going, those who are here are going to have breakfast later. And then those who are online, we are going to help you create an account on the Reforum e-learning platform. So that will be the form of your breakfast. Because these people have already known how to create their password, they already have their password, they have done something. So we are going to
No, we need also to break.
How long do you want to break? 2 minutes.
Maybe 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Yeah, can we hear now from this is Malcolm wanted to ask before, so we can give him a chance. There is Malcolm, and then who else? Who else has got a hand up to ask a question before we break? Okay. Is there anybody who want to ask a question, please, from online audience? Okay, so we assume that you don't have any question for now. So there's a hand. Yes, there's Lubowa Dafala. Please, can we start from you? Then Wilbur. Malcolm is there. Malcolm is not coming through.
Yes, thanks for the presentation. My question is all about the content. If it happens, I have got a content from a certain source, and that content is flowing with the course outline of our standards of Nkumba. Am I right to present that content on the e-learning system? Because, for example, I can get a certain book in PDF, for example, for these senior writers, for example, in the physics department. I find that when I look at the course outline for the course unit, it is almost the same as that in the context of that person. Am I free to present that content there, sir? Thanks very much.
Let me answer that. The question will be, where is your own content? You know, you need to be able to localize content to yourself. What are you teaching? Are the examples supposed to be the same like yours? You have the same understanding like the person who wrote that book? So the person will be asking, where is your own content? You will be plagiarizing. So you need to avoid that. Pick what you need to pick, further redefine it, redevelop it to suit what is yours and own it. I hope that is clear. A reference
Yes.
as much as possible.
Yeah, that's good.
Good morning again. Greetings from the University of Liberia.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, your internet connection went down with my initial question, and my initial question still remains. What is the threshold or the benchmark for resource overload? Because students are not only taking your course, they are taking multiple courses, and with that space, the human mind can only take as much in a time sprint based on the fact of the semester.
Is that Malcolm?
Yes, Malcolm.
Yeah,
Yes, sir,
Malcolm.
from the University of Liberia.
Yes, Malcolm. Now, thank you for that, for the question. The course load is dependent on the curriculum that was developed. Just imagine you will have 2 modules you are teaching. Another colleague of yours has 2 modules. Each one of you is supposed to teach all the content to completion by the end of the semester. So if you decide to move any of those course units online, remember, you have to teach it to completion. So the load does not change because you've gone online. You have to completely teach the entire load. And also your colleague will teach the entire load because it is completely dependent on the curriculum that was developed. So you don't minimize the load because you've gone online. You minimize probably the activities so that you don't have too much overload to the students.
Yes, I wanted to add I think there are two questions that needed a little bit more depth reflection. Number one, the course load or the content load. I think as lecturers and professors, we are doing a disservice by defining the course load equal to the number of slides we made. When you are teaching, you are introducing a topic. Ideally, the learners in this knowledge-based economy, they are free to explore all edges of knowledge from YouTube, read many books as possible. So the more resources you provide to the learners, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are increasing the actual workload. You're giving them options to explore as much as possible. So your role as a professor is to introduce the core principles and guide the learning process so that learners can navigate the sea of knowledge. So that's how I engage in terms of content. So you try to provide sufficient content and references for these learners. When I was a master's student in the Netherlands, we used, for every topic, we used to have a book for reference. So if you have 15 topics in a course, those are 15 books. A book of about 500 pages. Your choice is you to read or not to read, but you have to mark the exam at the end of the day. So that's my advice on the course content. The other question was on materials from other resources. So if you're teaching a course and you find a professor from Harvard has developed a full-fledged course, it does not mean you shouldn't create your own. You can create your own content and your own course, but reference and say, I have a number of my students who attend 4 classes or classes from other universities. I say on this topic, software security testing, there's a course at MIT. It's running. Can you sign up and mark the exercise? I follow up with you. But at the end of the day, I'm guiding you to follow that course. So don't plagiarize people's work. And whenever you even pick someone's slides, they're not your own. Actually acknowledge. If you pick the slide completely, you have lifted it from one source to your class. Simply say, the content is good, and because I never wanted to revert the wheel, I'm reciting it based on so and so. So that is the academic practice that we follow. Thank you. So finally, can we have Wilbur before we can break off?
Thank you very much for that explanation. That is wonderful. So to concur with you, we should push our students to move further.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Wilbur Sebuyungo Chiveka Yunga in Uganda, Nkumba University. I truly observe that to have these lessons very interactive, it would be also very central that in the introduction, the teacher conducts an online, a simple and short tutorial that is animated, and a link of it is prepared and uploaded for students in the introduction, so that the lecture does not actually happen at the instance all the students are online. Some of the students can actually find the very lecture or the very introduction later at their own convenience. And then afterwards, they can go through the text presentations and animated presentations coming in later on. If possibly, that could be organized in a way that each topic has such introductions, where the teacher or the lecturer sits somewhere and prepares a brief introduction that is demonstrated and illustrated and is lively, and then it is uploaded online there, where the students can actually click on, view it, and actually go on to the texts and the other videos from other sources, but when the teacher or the lecturer himself has come up with his or her own concept presented there. I also would like to be very, very supportive to the concept that the teacher or the lecturer himself has got to develop content. Colleagues, the biggest task in this e-learning setup that we are having is content construction. And that is where the biggest task is. When content construction is stepped on, and then all other aspects become very, very easy. So you see here, we are just someone has posted already constructed content, but we want also to ask, is this, how much of me is in this content? Otherwise, the university becomes another university where we are importing content and not exporting content. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Wilbur. Yes, true. The interactivity video animation can be there to supplement what the teacher is going to introduce. However, also, the actual real-time interactivity with the teacher from time to time in this virtual session is important. It brings the students closer to the teacher. So the real time should not be avoided all the time. It should also be part of, but staged in a way that it doesn't happen all the time.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. On the screen, if you go up on the model is something with the corner. For content, it is also rated. As a student, course rating, and there is a star course rating. Does this mean that the course, that the content is okay, it's rated high? Yes, what does that course rating represent? On the left. Course rating.
Here, definitely, it has to, rating, I know it applies either the students are rating or the students are rating, or in the content that has been developed, it's actually being rated to a certain level. That is what it relates to, but I will need to find out exactly what it is. But because I don't think, do you have any students in here? Not yet. Probably they are rating the way it has been packaged in there. And it's still, no, but do you know what? No, it's just an icon. It's just an icon. It's just a picture following the what? Course rating. As you see, navigation has also, it's what? You see this particular picture here. Yes. I think it's just a picture that was utilized.
Okay. We have to explore more.
Yeah.
That could solve most of our. But the other thing also, in your slides, you had a chart.
I have
it was the first chart.
Yeah.
Which had the delegate, the lead, the site.
The picture.
In terms of e-learning, I wanted to find out more about those tasks. When do I delegate? When do I lead? When do I don't know if it was possible to get that slide back. It's an interesting slide. Who delegate, decide. Because I didn't try to get the parameter. This is the task. Who delegate? Yes. E-learning products.
Yes.
Decide. Delegate the needs.
Now, this folded, actually, this is based on a principle. I can't remember the actual person, In all the tasks you do, there are some, if you drew this and partition them into 4, there are some which are not important. There are some which are important. But out of those, there are some which are urgent and there are some which are not urgent. Now, the question to you as a teacher would be, which ones, for example, do you delegate off? The ones which are urgent and not important. For example, the students, you would want to teach students a certain task that is required to be utilized in the 10th week. It is urgent that they will need it after the 10th week. Okay? But at the moment, it's not important. So you could actually give them a task to go and read about that, or you give them an assignment to actually undertake using that. So by the time they come to the other time of the 10th week, they would have grasped the concept, because it is at that point in time when they are even going to use it further, it will become important at that time. So you delegate off this to the students to go and do by themselves. It could be in groups, it could be in what? So that's the sort of thinking. There are so many tasks that need to be done. Which ones do you delegate off? Let me give you an example. There is a course unit I was following under Kusera one day. And it was so surprising that we developed the content of a certain topic ourselves, the students. The teacher delegated off that. And it was for the purpose of us knowing more. But what did she say? Everybody, can you pick something out of here? And we picked, we didn't know what was coming. And then, please, can you write 1.5 pages about that? We went and wrote. And then coming back, it was a matter of putting all this together. And we had all this. But it was not actually content meant for this course unit. But it was supposed to give us further understanding of something. That's when I noted that, oh, we can even work together collaboratively and come up with very good content. So she delegated off a task. Otherwise, she would have eaten up within her time. So you need to know where to delegate off all that, depending on what. But it taught us one collaboratively working together to achieve something. And then we created content which finally we shared amongst each other, but created by more than 20, 30 people. Okay? So, Paul, I hope it is, okay. So can we are meant to have a break.
Josephine, I see you are burning with your question. Can you just within 1 second? Malcolm, now, you know, we are going to have this session after break. I don't know whether we should keep on like this, but I thought that just 1 second for Joseph, and then 1 second for Malcolm, and then we go for break. We are going to continue this way. It will be very interactive. Okay? Josephine.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor, for the wonderful presentation. I'm asking, I'm a lecturer from Nkumba University, and assuming I've put a course description on the e-learning system, I've put the course outline and the topics and some content. And I'm a person who believes in engaging my learners. I'm a learner-centered type of teacher. So if I give my students some assignments to do, like to research on particular course units, course content, where can I put their presentation? Assuming some of these students have really done a very good presentation and I'm so happy with it, I would want to put it somewhere under this course unit. Is it okay for me to sample those good presenters and I put it on the system? And if it is okay, where in particular can I put it? I had also sent another question that in case I have audio recordings, like I record myself and I want to upload this on the system. I used to do it before, but the system could normally limit. So how many minutes or hours that I'm allowed to record and upload on the system? The third question is, sometimes you'd want to customize your course units. Like if it is environment, you get a very good picture of environment and you put it on the page so that when the students open, they can really see it is really environment. Now I tried it and the system was like, stop customizing this page. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Josephine. I start with the last one. You are talking about personalizing your actual space so that it looks the way you would want it to look, its environment, it looks environment and things of that kind. Definitely, you can customize and personalize the space to your what, so that it looks you. You just need to find Joseph, the administrator. He will demonstrate to you how that can be done. Then two, yes, the videos, audios can be added. What you do, you simply add them as if you're adding other files. You simply put there a file and you give a description. This is an audio talking about ABCD, then you attach the audio. It's part of the extra files you give to your students. Yes, some of these are limited in sizes, so you need to make sure that it doesn't go beyond the file that is required by the system. So what you do, you can break the file into smaller parts. You can have audio 1, audio 2, audio 3 about something. It's all about content that you need to avail. Even if you have, I would say, 20 files under topic 1, it is allowed because all that are trying to really explain to the learner what it's all about. Then the first question you asked was, I'm forgetting because you asked so many and I forgot.
Can I repeat, Professor?
The first one.
The first one was like, if I give my learners presentations and like topic 1, I give them to go and research. Can I upload what they have presented?
Yes, I have remembered. Geography in the afternoon can be able to demonstrate to you. There is where if you request these people to do what? To submit these presentations. You can hold these presentations, all of them, even if they are 20, and you create what we call a folder into the system. That folder, you can embed all those presentations under one folder so that whoever wants to access either presentation can come to the folder and be able to access that particular presentation. You can put as many as 100 in the folder. I hope that is answered.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, so our online audience, we are grateful that you have been attentive and you have been following. Just to assure you that yes, in the next session that we will go will be more practical, just picking on from what where professors left us. Of course, we are going to be using examples of courses already developed on our platform. But for those of you who are yet to develop contents and so on, of course, the first thing will be creating for you the password and the credentials for you to be able to enter into our platform. So that will be done. And then any question that you have will be answered. So it will be more or less more of a practical session than theory. Okay, so can we now break? I'm sorry that we can't ask questions for now.